Welcome to Vibes with the Archives. I am Vanna.
And I'm Kymmy. Today we will be doing episode 3, How to Talk to Your Deck. Do you want to start with how you prefer to talk to your deck, Vanna?
Well, when I see like my tarot or my oracle decks, I recognize that they have their own energy. Much like the crystals that I work with in my jewelry business, they have their own independent energy. And so, in a sense, they have a soul, not unlike you and I. And
Mhm.
when I speak to the decks or I connect with the crystals, I recognize their independent energy and I ask them for assistance. And I'm like one of those weird people that puts a name to absolutely everything. Like my car has a name, most of my plushies have a name, my random
Same.
plants have a name. Certain decks have names. I actually have Damien and Jack over here with me, and they're very commonly used in my videos because they have such an incredible energy and they are able to communicate, at least for me, a lot clearer because I have like a more personal relationship with this deck than some of my other decks. Like there's my Enchanted Map deck, which was the first Oracle deck I ever got for myself. Whenever I greet that one, I always say it is my old friend. It has traveled with me from 2020 when I first started working with tarot and oracles. So, one of the first things that I do is greet the deck itself. When I start shuffling, I'm talking directly to it. I'm not talking to my higher self. I'm not talking to my spirit team. I'm getting a check in for that deck because that deck might not want to read for me based on the energy that I'm coming with. If I'm coming with a frightened or erratic or
Confused.
needy energy. Like if I'm desperate for like an answer or confirmation, there are certain decks that I have that just will not talk to me. Like my shamanic decks. You do not just pick those up and start shuffling with them. You have to know that you are going to have a very powerful reading if you pull the shamanic decks because I mean, tarot does not sugarcoat shit. Oracle will call you out to your face, but these shamanic ones will get to like the root of the trauma and or the problem or what is blocking you. And you have to recognize their independent energy, especially if you want to continue working with them, like you would any other reader or contractor or just someone that you work with in general. You're not going to insult them and then expect them to carry through on their promise or what they're expected to do.
Definitely not treating them like a slot machine where you can just put in a coin and get what you want. Like,
And not a card
definitely
game.
moving with respect. Yeah, definitely not a card game. It's to be used with respect and also individuality. Like it's there's some who are very, very talkative and will not start talking to you before it throws a card to tell you what it is and be like, yo, did you know that this energy is about you right now? Okay,
That
now that I got that out of the way, I'll tell you what you want to know.
that's exactly Jack. When I shuffle Jack. So Jack is a very beautiful, bright deck. It is called the Elemental Oracle. The sides are iridescent. The imagery is vibrant and beautiful, but also mystical. So it's a very magical deck, and it's named Jack after a House of Night character, which ironically enough in that book series they worship the goddess Nyx or Nyx. I just got the card of joy and music that came out, and that's not surprising because Jack was actually singing during the time of his untimely demise in the story. And so Jack has always been a kind of card in the deck that is just like you're gonna get something no matter what from this one. He is just that talkative. It is also a bit of a connection for me because my grandfather on my mother's side is named Jack. So I can use this deck to also call more directly to my grandfather when I'm channeling or when I'm shuffling.
Of course. And to remember that password from the last episode as well, so that you can remember and like confirm who you're actually talking to. And if the more you practice and use your decks to confirm things, the deck is to be used to find confirmation, not
Yeah,
to not to alter anything because you have free will, but to remember that getting that confirmation is a sign of respect as well.
yeah. As Rosology said in the beginning of her videos,
Oh,
tarot and oracle cannot predict the future. They're only giving confirmations of what you already know. Rosology is an amazing reader. She's the one that I first connected to back in late 2020 when I started this journey.
I was watching her around that time too. Very good, very good. My original was Blue Aura Healing Terrence uh Guidance Tarot. Yeah. Blue Aura Healing Guidance and Tarot. Woo! There we
That's
go.
a mouthful.
It is worth it. It is so worth it.
No,
And
I'm sure their energy is amazing.
right. Um it's wonderful to know, like, to see the deck and also know that, like, if you need to, that there are decks out there for you and you can connect and you can look and find anything. Before I went through the fire, I really, while I was delving to get into it, because I had already used the uh, Weight Rider deck, but I wanted to do something more mine, so I got a Fairy Oracle deck called Fang.
Ooh,
Um, uh, I know I miss them very much. Um, and I had one that was like more vampire and like macaw, and it really got to the shadow work points. And it was with the artwork from Victoria Francis. That one was a lot of fun for me. And yeah, now I have these new ones. One's called uh, Sandman, and it's the Dreamweaver's Oracle, and to delve into like what you're dreaming, like, and to get to how to talk to it and store it as well. You can store them with crystals on them and cleansing them. And I've heard from talking with decks that they prefer to be kept somewhere up higher. So if you have it on like a bookshelf, top shelf, because they are top shelf. Like treat your decks like they're top shelf, okay? Because like they really like you're the one who they get to talk with, and like and they do. They picked you, you picked them, and it's really about making that bond and getting to know them over time. Like Vanna said before, some aren't meant for you, and that's okay. Like everyone in the world, some people aren't meant for you, and that's okay. And
that's
like,
very true. You might just be a carrier of a deck. Like you
yeah,
hold on to it until you find someone that's just like, you know what? I think you'll connect really well with this kind of deck.
that's how I got my transformational tarot deck. Went after the fire, and I didn't have any funds yet from the like insurance. Um, we and I wanted they wanted the person wanted me to continue my tarot channel and like keep doing readings, and they're like, I don't connect with this deck anymore, like at all. And would you like this, because I feel like it's your energy, and it absolutely is. It's very talkative, and the imagery is captivating and really tells a story.
Let's focus on that. Like, how do you know when a deck is talkative? Because most people, when they see deck shuffling, you're just moving the cards and like you're doing the bridge, or I cup it in my hand and I move it. For me,
Yes.
it's like if the cards are moving in heavy chunks or it's very stiff, it doesn't want to talk, or it needs to be cleansed, or you're not asking it the right questions.
Yep.
For me, when a deck is very talkative, it's very loose, and like I could easily get a card to fly off or a couple cards to fly off.
Oh yeah, and one of the ways to make sure that like if it needs to like be cleansed of some distortion and it's like because it's blocked up, like your throat chakra, it can happen for your tarot decks too. They can be out of alignment from not being having talked in a while. And also if you're giving it like make sure you're giving it clear and concise questions so that it doesn't feel gurglated on trying to force that question out when your mind is elsewhere or your question isn't straightforward. Like um it it likes to deal in like calm and like concise terms like spirit does. Spirit's not going to beat around the bush and try to muddle and confuse you, which is the energy that decks sit at. And when you bring a concise question, like one of the questions I like to ask is am I on the right path? Am I um future self, and would you do this, like future favorite self? Because I'd rather not be like, you can be the best you can be, but I'd rather be my favorite self, which is your authentic self. So you can even say your authentic self and ask through the deck, hey authentic self, would you do this, would you take this path? And ask if you, they would, and it will give you an example. And now it's not set in stone because you already know what's gonna, you know, what's the down low, so it's already been changed anyway by like suggestions. But it's a suggestion. There's suggestions and guidance. It's guidance is at what it is at the, you know, at the very bottom of it all. It's just to guide you. It's to
Exactly.
be a pep talk for you, maybe because you don't have anyone to talk to, or maybe you just, you know, it's something personal that you would like to work through, but of course with respects and making sure you're cleansing it and checking who you are talking through and checking that it's your higher self. You can get nudges, and if it's giving you a lot of negative talk, and like if you're not ready to hear that truth yet, then maybe it's time to like back away and give yourself some grace and, you know, release some of that shame and burden before you come back, because it will always be there and it's not going to hold a grudge against you if you haven't talked in a while. So if some of you may feel like you went through a dark night of a soul, that'll be in a future episode, or, you know, a time of transformation and shadow work, and you just weren't up for, or up for talking with them, they're not going to judge you. They still want to talk with you. They still want to be friends. Even the ones who may not be aligned with you, they still know they have a journey with you, and they're grateful to come across your path.
Absolutely. I love the connection that I have with some of my decks, and there are times when I know I'm overusing it, like I am going to a deck and overthinking or overcomplicating or hyperfixating on a problem or something that I want to know, something that I feel like I should know. And there's sometimes a point of frustration when like the deck isn't saying what it is I want it to say, but that's usually the moment when I need to step away because like I'm not coming correct to the deck. And like every person goes through this when they first start with tarot, is they want to consult the deck on everything, and it's just like, okay, tarot, what should I have for dinner? Or they're like, I know when I first started watching like guided readings or pick a card readings, I would be watching one almost every single day and like trying to figure out how it's working in my life or not working and how it's approaching. And
What?
I had to go through those steps of like hyperfixating and obsessing on it because I needed to learn how it felt when something resonated. when something didn't resonate, and how to start following my intuition. So, like, I had to taper off of tarot and guided and pick a
Oh, yeah.
cards for a while, and I didn't
It's
watch any for months. But then
it's
I also
really
started
good.
doing my own practice too.
I love that. No, it's really good when you wait and have that time to yourself, because then you can remember what your own energy feels like. And also
Absolutely.
it's really good spiritual hygiene and a total to not be bringing on mass amounts of other people's energies, which aren't always of the highest and good intentions. And that's okay, because they're coming there for confirmation how to heal and on their journeys, but you don't need to be a beacon portal constantly bringing it, which is why learning to talk to your own deck. And of course, you can make your own deck if you are not at that point where you are, want you maybe you're not out fully from
The
the
broom
into
closet.
broom closet, and that's okay too. That's why we're here, to try and keep it, on the 411 of what to do and how to do it safely and without judgment. And I've had a few people who were like in my family who would make their own tarot decks a lot, just because of the type of religious backgrounds on all angles. They would make theirs off of a deck of playing cards. So I know that Vanna said earlier that it's not a game, and I know this may sound contradictory, but it is also a very good way to find confirmation for yourself, while also protecting yourself from those who may be in the red belts, or just because you're not ready yet. And that's also okay too. You don't have to share your beliefs, and you don't have to put it on high in order to be valid. You're valid no matter how often you practice or how little you practice. It's as long as you're growing and you're, living in your authentic truth, then that's you. That's you, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, you absolutely can use like a regular bicycle deck as your cards. I have think somewhere packed in the altar supplies is packed away, but two different bicycle decks that my mom has written on, and like the translations of what they mean to like the the Eight of Hearts is the Eight of Pentacles, and so and so. But you could also apply your own meanings to them.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
Mountain Mortuary or Appalachian Sun, same person. His Meemaw practiced cartomancy, which is just reading from playing cards like that. And he constantly post videos about teaching and how that reading style kind of works. And so absolutely it's the intention and the energy that you are coming with. So like a personal story of mine, back in 2020, my aunt passed away. And this was right when we moved back to South Carolina. A lot of my family is still in Georgia. So like not even a week after we got my family down to our house in South Carolina, we had to go down to Georgia for an extended period of time to take care of my family down there as my aunt was passing. And my mom and I brought down some of our tarot and oracle decks, and my two cousins were already starting along this path, but they like immediately ordered a whole bunch of decks themselves after we did readings for them and my male cousins. These were all children of my aunt who was passing, and I was able to provide them with some sense of comfort or validation or recognition for the pain and the fear that they were dealing with at that time. However, like their father saw it as a game. And they're just like, oh, you guys still playing that card game? I didn't really take offense from him because he was a sweet man and his wife was passing. But my uncle completely disrespected it. Like he would put his computer down on top of where we were like laying cards. And I had a hold of my integrity so hard that day, Kimmy. I had a hold of my integrity so hard to not
Well,
curse this grown ass man out because you.
well, I know once you're done, it reminded me of the one for like teaching how to talk to the deck too, and like how you can come up to your own intuition and intuitive nudges. When I went over to my partner's um, brother's birthday party with his kids and stuff and his wife, when I got there, I saw that she had an oracle deck. I didn't realize that she was into it or had gotten into it, and I was so excited. And she was like, "I don't really know how to read it, but I want to learn. If you want, like, show me a bit." And we went out to the table, and there was one of their friends, that was supposed friend anyway, that was there and kept trying to like say that it wasn't real and stuff, and would like pull cards, and she would pull cards because her deck, and she was like, "Well, here, read it," and I would read what I intuitively saw from the pictures. Never underestimate your own intuition and your own intuitive nudges from things you've experienced or nostalgia, and what kind of feeling it brings when you look at that card. Because yes, as much as the illustrations come with examples and guidelines, that's what they are, guidelines. They're not set in stone for what that card means. And I know that you should have some confirmation. You can't just make it up as you go. But once I had finished reading it off for her, and he was like, "Well, how close was she?" Because he wanted to see. He's like, "Oh, you can read it then." I was like, "I've never used this deck in my life." And he was like, "How accurate was she?" She was like, "She's really accurate, but I preferred the way she said it." I was like, "That's because I'm connecting with your deck. That piece of paper isn't connected to the deck. You are."
No, absolutely. The book that you get inside Oracle decks and Tarot decks are just guidelines, the intention of the artist. Like in my Luminarian deck, the every picture was painted by an aura artist. So like she was in meditation and she was seeing visions, and so like each picture is this beautiful representation of the struggle that she was dealing with or how she was working through something at that time. And that's why, like, when it comes to tarot, there will always be the major arcana and the minor arcana. And the points of having different tarot decks is because you will resonate differently with the images and the messages. When I want a certain kind of message, I'll go to the Shadowscapes tarot deck. But then sometimes I just want a gentle word of kindness, and I go to the Pastel Journey deck from Vanessa
Mhm.
Samina. Absolutely love her decks. They're beautiful. But like when it comes to tarot decks, there's always going to be the major arcana with the Fool, the Magician, the Empress, and so on. And Oracle decks are a completely independent, separate thing. I use a lot of Oracle decks. I have more Oracle decks than I have Tarot because each deck has a different energy, it has a different vibe. And when you pair them together with other Oracle decks or Tarot decks, it can create an entire story narrative where the decks talk together. Oracles are, in my opinion, a lot more open to interpretation. There are some that don't even come with books, like my Divine Abundance Oracle deck, because it's just the word, the image, and a little prayer or script at the bottom. It's that simple. Like the Damien, my Mind Info Oracle deck that is paired with Jack here, it is literally just that same. It's very minimalist. It's a black card with rainbow like ombre lettering. Like the bottom of the deck was bravery, a fist pump with explosion, and the line says, "You are being asked to make a tough decision on what you've been putting off because of fear," which is understandable, but you do have the strength and bravery to make this decision, and you will feel so much lighter when you do so. There are so many different types of Oracle and Tarot decks, so it really is an independent experience of what you want and what you need from it.
That's awesome. I also wanted to point out that if you are by the book, pun intended, uh, Words can come on the card as well if you look into certain decks that you prefer. If you go based off of like your likes and interests, like I did at the beginning, because I wasn't really connecting with the original deck that much, and I decided, go for your interests. Like with my one friend who was getting into it, decided to get a dragon deck because that's what they
I mean,
resonate.
love that. I love dragons. I don't even have a dragon deck.
Right? So like go for your interests, and that will help nurture a bond, because you're already going to be excited to see and witness, and if you know stories about dragons, it'll be easy to relate to them and be like, oh, this reminds me of Toothless, or what have you, from Dragonheart. Who knows? But if you like cats and you get one, and it's like, oh, this reminds me of that. If you wanted to talk to the deck about talking to your cats and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could do
I'm
that too.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out, inside of the tarot deck's original type style, if you want to get more serious answers out of them, of course, if you're coming correct, clear, and concise, without any distractions, you can take out all of the major arcana from the deck, and you can shuffle just the major arcana to get a more in-depth energy, and like wean out the room for needing more questions later. I find personally, anyway, I enjoy doing that, where I'll take out the extra major arcana and line them up. There's also different readings that, if you also, that's another thing too. Maybe you just don't know the right questions, and maybe that's making you feel like you can't take the first step. You can look up other types of styles of readings online as a guideline, like I said, by the book. Um, you can also buy yourself a book along with your deck. Like Vanna said, that there may not be one. If you're very visual with words, you could buy a poetry book to go along with it.
Yeah, there's like the
To,
affirmations oracle deck that I have. And if you need to have that understanding of like the imagery in the original Rider Waite tarot, because like there's so much about that that plays into the meaning of the cards and the messages of it, there are like tarot Bible books that you can get. I have one. I'll try to remember to put it in the description when
I'll
we
remember
post this.
to do with, because there's also a website like Biddy Tarot as well that I will place in there as well when we're doing the description. But yeah, there's many resources for you at your disposal, especially of nowadays that it is trending and new. And when I went to the library to go update from my decks again after so long and going through the fire, and I was surprised that it was not in a tiny section at the back at the bottom shelf, because they don't even like that. Put them on top shelf. They're top shelf. Treat them like as such. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's totally totally amazing that you have all that. You can find out different readings on, like, should I go this path or this path? Like, because I know a clear, concise question. You can do it one in a row. Like, can I do this path and see what it looks like difference? But you can also shuffle and look for the justice card. So you can look up different major arcana readings will mean different things. For me, I know that if you want the jest path, you will shuffle the deck, and then you look for the card on. You decide which two different paths you want to take, and that you are trying to find confirmation of what will happen on each one. You can shuffle, look for the justice card. The card before is one direction, the card after is the other direction. So make sure that you choose one, or write it down if you can't remember when you're shuffling intent, and then it will show you, like, you'll have that one card and you can determine which one more suits your vibe.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ones.
I do
Yeah.
that all the time where I have like two separate piles and there are two separate questions. Like
Yes.
there was a, I'm not gonna get too much into this one because it was a very personal and it was a, this reading kind of floored us a little bit. But it was like between one decision that initially felt safer and another decision that felt more dangerous. And going through that reading, we learned that the one that initially felt safer, that was really us hiding and retreating, would have led to the loss of my mother's familiar, my dog Artemis.
Yeah.
And so like we got that from like the tarot deck that and the cards that came out there, and then all the other oracle decks that came along after that. And so like having those like separate piles of just like, okay, what's going on with this situation or what's going on with this person and their relation to me, having those separate piles can really just like draw it out. And it's really good to like keep a journal of these things because you can really see how it changes and relates down the line. But if you really just have a whole lot of anxiety about these cards and stuff, just start with pick a card readings. Honestly, I watched pick a cards for like half a year before I purchased my own tarot and oracle decks. And like my first tarot deck wasn't even a Rider Waite. I think my first one was the Celtic Tarot by Christopher Hughes. And I, like you were saying earlier, Kimmy, about like one that you're drawn to, I picked this one because I have a very deep connection and fascination with the Celtic goddess of wisdom, Caradwen. And Christopher Hughes not only is a Welsh native, he is a member of the Druid Order and the Bardic Order, and has gone on an entire journey and written an entire book that I own about connecting to the goddess Caradwen. And I recognized his name on the box as the author because I already had his Caradwen book, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the tarot deck I need. And it's beautiful, like all the horses are replaced with dragons in it, and there are certain cards that even remind me of the spirit and the energy that is my daughter, that is not born yet, she is not conceived yet, but I'm able to connect to my daughter specifically through this deck.
I love that. I love how everything, like the tech will also talk to you as well. Like before I went through the fire, like they'll give you warnings and stuff like that as well. Catch
Absolutely,
the
but you just
smoke and everything inside of like the imageries. And especially with my my fairy deck was the first one I got because I like the stories of all over the place. I couldn't really pick a particular type of fairy that I enjoy. Um, the most, and but I did enjoy it, and it was the fairy deck by Valentine. I forget what his first name is, but he's by Valentine if you wanted to look it up. And it's supposed to help you give self confidence. It's supposed to really, like you said earlier, that they will tell you the truth, like the oracles and stuff like that. But it really had the intention and guidance of like really building up your self confidence and self compassion. So if you're having a rough go of it on being um, with the inner critic, then you could definitely look into decks that have a more um, light approach. And of course, if you need someone to be very blunt with you, you can definitely find those as well.
oh, absolutely. I have the In the Shadows Oracle deck is like when I'm doing intense shadow work. Like I I'm gonna have my feelings hurt by this.
Yep.
But sometimes it's exactly what I need. And then like I have my one of my favorite decks of mine is the Believe in Your Own Magic deck. And this is like if feminist was an oracle deck. It is every card is a queen, is a powerful woman. There's three sections: witch, mermaid, queen. and it's so beautiful. Like the throne card has all three of them sitting together, and it says like celebrate yourself. It's so awesome. I love this deck so much. It really empowers like that feminine rage energy that has been very heavy in the collective. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like dark feminine rage is the theme of 2025.
I think it's been going on for a couple of years now. So
Yeah,
maybe
it's just been quiet as hell, but it's not quiet anymore. One thing that is very important is when you're using another person's deck.
I
So,
was gonna say borrowing another person's deck is an honor and respect it. And we'll get into also like don't steal someone's deck
oh
either.
god,
Like
don't
I don't think
steal
you're
someone's
going to,
deck.
but don't do it. No, no,
It's
don't
so
don't.
bad.
It's so bad. Um,
But like
yeah, personally assess and do not.
so like with my mom and I, we've grown on this journey together, and there are only like a couple of decks that even I still have to get her permission to use. Like Jack and Damien here were originally her main cards, and for the first few times I had to ask for her permission to use them. But because we co-have and co-store our decks together, our energy is very coincided. We constantly do readings together for and with each other. But when my brother came home and like he got his first decks, it was first of all very interesting to see what kind of decks he picked for himself, but also those are his own collections. Those are his independent connection to his higher self. And I needed to get his permission and then the deck's permission to use them. So of course I asked him, and then when I took the decks, I cleansed them with an incense stick and a piece of citrine, sat it on there for a while, and then I picked up the decks. I focused and held them in my hand, and I started to talk to it like I would my other decks, but not as familiar because I had never even used these before. And they had clearly had a very strong connection with my brother because he immediately was able to deal and use them, and he had just started this journey himself. And recognizing that you are tapping into like another person's toolbox, you wouldn't want someone to come in and just like take your wrench and clang it on the side of a steel table, messing it up, and then you're not able to use it anymore. Like you don't want to take someone else's deck and like get food grease all over it or drop them or let your dog chew on it, because I have that in a couple of decks. They've been chewed on by Artemis.
You.
It's just like carry an extra air of respect and care when you're using another person's deck, because that is a sacred connection that you are asking to tap into, and it is perfectly understandable if someone says no, because that's their sacred tools. It's like touching someone's rosary. You don't fucking do that. That's theirs. That's their energy in it.
Exactly, which wanted me to bring up one more thing here for myself is when you're using the deck, I just want to be very clear with you. If you have the intentions to talk about other people and like wanting to find out information on them, just be very clear that their guides will protect them and they may not play about them. So if you're trying to get a sneak peek at someone for like, oh, do they like me or whatever for confirmation so you can ask them out. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean like trying to gossip and spy about other people without their permission. Sure, it may happen, but they may block it out. I've noticed like with a lot of people trying to read my cards, if I don't give permission to my guides, then they will have a delay and a bogged down message of what's going on with me because that's not you, like you don't have permission over that. So if you're giving a reading for someone else, you need to specifically ask them, be like, yeah, and welcome in their guides and ask their guides, do we have permission and stuff. And like, a lot of tarot readers state is like, you have to accept this, you have to give permission for this. So remember that when you're also doing, remote readings and you want to get the tea on someone, that their guides might say no, and it might not be because your deck needs cleansing or it's blocked or anything. You're just getting a no, and that's okay. Maybe focus more on questions towards yourself and how you can let go and, you know, becoming personally known in what intent you have, because intending to use it first, on to find out dirt, really, it's not gonna work out, and
No, it will not.
it's not gonna work out. And I'm just letting everyone know this because this is how you talk to your deck. I'm not gonna only talk about sunshines and rainbows. I'm gonna let you know that you can't use it with that type of intent, because their guides might be strong and they might know, and they will just return to sender and you'll be knocked on your butt.
Yeah, you don't know who someone is being protected by. There's
Yep.
actually I kind of know who these people are, but there are people working against my energy right now. I have
Yep.
had heavy evil eye protection going on. There are some things you are not meant to know. And this is a point of frustration that some people come to when it comes to tarot, because they have preconceived notions that it will either reveal everything about their future or, like you said, will allow them to spy. First of all, don't come with that petty shit, because
Yo,
you'll
return to
regret
sender
it
on that,
so
because your
fucking
mic went, and you guys don't want us to say this because you want to block it, but we're gonna say it anyway. So
much. Yeah. And then on back onto the you're not meant to know certain things.
yeah,
Uh you could seriously fuck up your blessings, delay them if you know too much about them, because we live in the realm of free will. This is why you have to give permission to your spirit team to work in your life. This is why you have to give permission to your higher self to allow things happen, because we live in the realm of free will. These energies cannot just come in and stop or set up these things without your
alchemy.
permission. But in that same sense, there are things that we cannot know, because then we would hyperfixate on it or obsess about it or try to prevent it or redirect it in some way. And things just have to happen in divine timing.
Absolutely. This is definitely important for those who, like, when you're going and astral traveling back to where we come from in a future episode, this will be very important to remember as well, because sometimes when you don't remember when you come back from the astral realm, it is some of the messages that you're just not supposed to, it's like a surprise. It's like, and not, it's like waiting to unfold naturally.
Yeah, and like one thing with like communicating with spirit with this is like we get an idea of how something should come in, and then that closes doors, because spirit can use anything and anyone to bring something in. And I promise you, what they have planned for you is so much better than what you're imagining right now,
Right?
because you're either imagining it out of a place of lack, out of a place of ego, or out of a place of limitation. We are
Right.
constantly putting these glass ceilings on ourselves of what we can accomplish based on where we're from, the finances that we believe we have.
Or
And
who it's coming from, like the gifts of where it coming from. If you like you're perturbed and like prideful about where it's coming from with a gift of like a certain person that you may not, F with fully on, but not enough where it's like, bad blood, but you still like are wary and you're like, okay, spirit, I can tell that you're sending this gift through them, like to accept that, even though, putting your pride aside. Spirit's like, are you willing to put your pride aside to
Yeah,
accept this?
that's going to be a big thing for a lot of people because I feel like there's going to be a massive new awakening in the next couple of months, and there are going to be a lot of people just coming onto this with a lot of preconceived notions about tarot, their own journey, their own abilities. What you have to understand, my loves, is it's not a psychic ability is like a blessing or a gift. It's something every person has the capability of doing. But like how some people are naturally inclined to art or sports or mathematics, there are those of us that are just closer connected to this power and it's easier for us to tap into. But that doesn't make it an easy connection.
It doesn't make you any less either. Being more grounded in the physical is maybe just your journey. And,
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm triple Earth. I'm very grounded. And I like this is a glass ceiling I've put on myself by saying it's difficult for me to connect to the higher realms. And it's really not. I'm just putting that limitation on myself because I see a lot of my power is in the physical world, is in manifestation and energy manipulation and transmutations. A lot of things that are very physical. Well, my mom, being a Pisces, is very gifted in the psychic, spiritual, and ethereal. But those are things that I have the access and ability to do as well. It's it's just a different I go about different steps to get there.
And the reason why we have so many others around us who have unlocked the gifts and stuff, there's always room for more of us to have these gifts. You want to know why? Is so we can get confirmation outside of ourselves when we are feeling a little too close to the case, a little biased opinion. You're too close to the case. We're gonna have to take you off of it and hand it over to someone else, because then they can be clear and concise without the distractions that are needing to be blocked out to get that guidance and confirmation that's needed.
And one thing that's like so my mom has a difficult time reading for herself because she is so close to it. One practice that we have been trying out is she's imagining herself on the other side of the cards and saying like, okay, we're reading for Serena. What does Serena need to know in this time? God, it's weird saying her name. But if you are having a difficult time reading for yourself and you don't have a tarot buddy or you don't have someone to come in and like look over it, try that. Like where you're removing your ego from yourself. And this might actually help you become a more clear channel because when you are using these decks, you are becoming an open channel. Like how we were talking in the last episode about different divination types and opening yourself up to be the conduit, you might speak with someone else's words. And it could feel very strange. Like you could take on a different accent, a different vocabulary, or just say types of words that you don't normally say.
Start singing songs.
Yeah, songs,
There,
music is a huge, huge form of communication for me.
yeah, clarity for life. There's also, we did get into how to connect with your deck, and like there was where we stated earlier that you can get cards that have words on them of what they mean so that you can associate them and learn over time. But there's also the other way of connecting that I find that can be helpful if you haven't tried to connect with a deck yet, and that's card of the day. And
Yes, I remember when
each
I did a
time,
card of the day.
card of the day would be where you pull it, and um, and you would find out what it means so that you can store it, and you can find out throughout your day how you connected to that card, what memories when you look at the card at the end of the day. If some of you, if you're worried that you will interfere with the free will thing, you can pull it at the end of the day and be like, how is the energy today, and you can relate to the card how your day went.
Yeah.
um,
There's also having it as your lock screen or your home screen. I
oh
have
yeah.
I've done this for like the past year and a half where every month or every few months I'll get a different card for my lock screen and a different card for my home screen. Like right now I have the Spirit Guardian of Summer expansion as my lock screen, and my home screen is the Mystic Meadow Sanctuary from the Sacred Forest Oracle deck. Another one of
I
my
love
favorites.
it.
But
You can also oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. Having it on my
Oh,
phone is like a good brief like little reminder. Sometimes I'm like really in my head and in the tension of the day or the week, and I could just see sanctuary and remember that I am protected or I am expanding. And it's a really easy way, at least that I've found, to reground myself. Sorry, Kimmy, I know I cut you off. Go ahead, my love.
no problem. I was going to say, because you reminded me, with how you put it on your lock screen, that you can also manifest energies by taking a card that you want to embody and put it underneath your pillow, or like underneath the mattress or whatever, if you don't want to squish it with your pillow. Um, in order to manifest that energies, and protective energies as well, that we will go into more in episode 5. But yeah, taking the card and putting it underneath your pillow for the type of energy that you are trying to embody. And yeah, that's the one I liked, the card of the day and underneath the pillow. The ones on the lock screens, and that's one's far out. I was gonna say, it's super awesome. I agree. I used to do that as well. I would put things that I wanted to manifest into my life. Right now, I have the one that my friend draw made for me. Made a sigil for manifesting the things that I desire into my life. So I have that one right now, but I think I might take the lock screen of the one where it looks like Freya and change it to a tarot card, because I remember that and I like it.
Yeah, it's really nice. And like I would carry with like that same energy of like what do I need to know this month? What do I need to be reminded of this month? Or when I'm doing a daily tarot card or an oracle card, it's just like what energy do I need to carry today? Because like whatever challenges I'm presenting with, like if it's going to be a big work day, I might get a message that says breathe or slow down or focus. If it's like the day that I'm going to the food pantry and I'm going to be doing a lot of good, but there's that one person that pisses me off, it might be integrity or um, focus or just some other kind of energy. And sometimes I'll see like I'm seeing in my mind's eye the wisdom card from the Sacred Forest deck, and in that there's a woman and an owl with their wings expanded flying over her. And I might see an owl on someone's t shirt through that day, or I might be lucky and see an actual owl. Looking for those little signs and synchronicities. And like, you can ask, you can literally just ask for a very specific symbol as like, and that's your password. Like, see a green flamingo or something.
Or something that you liked from a very young age, like a guilty pleasure or something that no one would know. You can
Like,
really make it anything you want, as well as with the card of the day. If you don't like it, don't pull another card, because as soon as you don't like it, and instead of evaluating how you can go about this energy and seize the day regardless of what it is, you're already moving into distracted and unclear energy, and it will frustrate you. So I'm just gonna put that out there as a warning, so that you don't feel like you're banging your head against the proverbial wall, which is made out of cards.
Yeah, I'll admit I've gotten to points where like I was just pulling cards just to pull cards and I wasn't doing the work outside of it that was required for my situation.
Well, that's one thing I noticed, because at one point when I before the fire, I had more time, that I would constantly I was doing readings every single day, and I started to realize that the energies were the same, and I was just pouring energy into the same message, because there was no time in between for the action, which is a big
Yep.
part of tarot, or else it wouldn't be one of the four suits. Like, action is one of the is wands. So when you're
Hmm.
looking at these, remember that it brings in all four elements. Remember, you are all four elements as well. So you are complete, just like your deck. It comes complete, and so do you.
Yeah, so like the suit of pentacles is the earth element and related to money and finances. The suit of cups is the water element and related to your emotions. The suit of wands is fire and related to, like Kimmy said, actions and passions. And the
Yes,
suit of swords is related to air, and that deals with a lot of your thoughts and your subconscious.
yes. And they are all related to archangels as well, if you were into delving into that
I
realm.
do want to get a tarot deck that is connecting to archangels because, like,
Mm.
Raphael, Uriel, Ezekiel, and Michael seem very heavy in my spirit team. And
Can't
I'm
leave the
always
fence,
interested in learning more about who's up there.
right? Well, they're aliens. That's what I assume. Like, they're from a different realm.
I mean,
Um,
absolutely. You've seen the biblical
yeah.
depictions of those fucking things.
I mean, like, hear me out.
I mean, I
But
fully
yes,
believe in aliens and that they're reptile people and that they're like, have you seen The Abyss?
yes,
Uh,
yes. Oh
like The
yes.
Abyss. Like, that's all I need to say. It's just the
That's
abyss
that's
and the
it.
Russian water tentacles.
Right? So, like, it's understandable if you would like to delve into that realm. They are also there. You can look up your birthday, and each one will come with an archangel and your guardian angel. Like,
Yeah,
mine is Mamaya, and Archangel Gabriel, who's in charge of water science, and then Archangel Michael, who's in charge of fire science, and Raphael is in charge of air science, and Earth is Uriel.
that would
So, like,
explain why Uriel shows up so much for me.
yes. So, like, it will bring you guidance. Ask for, guidance to be led to your deck as well. It's like ones that want to connect with you will have you written into their journey just as much as they're written into yours.
Absolutely. The connection that I have found, not only with my higher self, but to my spirit team through the tarot and oracle decks, have been truly, truly amazing. They have changed my life. And
Right?
I'm
I
very
treat
happy
them.
that I have the ability to be a reader and be a personal reader on my website and stuff. I'm very excited for those opportunities.
Me. I'm happy as well. It's been really much of a journey, going from naming and everything else, and reconnecting with decks after losing all the other ones, because I had one
I
that
seriously could
was
not
like
imagine
my
that.
like my fairy ones. I had an angel one and a vampire one, the three, and then a few other ones as well, oracle style. But like the angel ones, I did a few readings of like what your angels want to tell you, and like, I treat them like my friends. I treat them the same way as I said before in the other episodes, when we mentioned on guides, is that I treat my guides and my decks like friends. Some friendships are acquaintances, and some friendships are on occasion. and some are best friends and they know absolutely everything about you and the tea and the extra stuff that you don't even tell your diary. So, like, don't be discouraged if you feel like, you connect with one over the other. Every friendship is different levels and have meaning and to bring to your life. So don't underestimate a good friendship.
And the variety. I love having the variety that I have because I can really direct the message and like what kind of question I need to ask and pick the proper decks. And it's really great because the different imagery can mean different things in the exact moment that I need them to be. So, following your intuition is the biggest and most important thing when it comes to tarot decks, reading and working with them because you have to trust that you are being guided in the right direction.
Absolutely. And remember that when cleansing them, you can cleanse them with crystals that don't take on energies. You can look it up, like uh a witch's broom kyanite doesn't absorb energy and
Citrate is
it
one of my
protects them,
personal favorites.
right? So you can do it that way. You can do it with sunbathing them. You can ask them too if you feel the energy with the way, like I said in the last episode, of using yourself as a human compass, pendulum. And you can ask your decks, like, do you prefer this cleansing? Do you prefer smoke cleansing and sage? Do you prefer being out in the sun? Do you prefer being cleansed under a moon? And you can ask them what kind of moon too. You can ask them if it prefers the full moon or a new moon, whatever it prefers to be cleansed with, right? And as well as you can knock on wood as well, if none of you have heard of the, oh, I love it, uh, the cleansing way or asking for protection, because in the olden days, or still the days now, you can ask the trees for protection by knocking on them and it will awaken its spirit and protection. And since I believe that the spirit from the tree is still within the decks, I ask it for its humblest of help and protection by knocking on the deck and asking for its assistance. That, if you don't have any other way of cleansing, is a good way of doing it. For a little extra razzle dazzle, I'll knock and then blow it off as if to blow away any leftover, like, proverbial energies.
Yeah, treat it like a Nintendo cartridge. Just go
Oh my god.
and just
Okay,
blow
good.
out all the.
I tried so hard not to make the and we were both thinking about it though. I was like, yeah, give it a good smack,
Yep, that's what happens when you're clairsentient. You could be in a completely different country and share the same fucking thought.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. I think I have uh everything I have wanted to say. How about you?
Uh, Same. I think we have covered every point that we wanted to talk about in this. Uh, Please let us know how you guys talk to your decks, or if you have a specific deck that is like your go-to, or if you've never touched decks before. Like, we are both independent readers on our own channels, Favored Ones and the Soul Shine Experience for Kymmy and myself